Hey guys, welcome to another segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast. As you guys all know, in my last segment, I had a heated debate as the Sixers got stunned by the Hawks in Philadelphia in Game 7 of their Eastern Conference semifinals, and we didn't like the performance of Ben Simmons. We actually did not like any performance that Mr. Ben Simmons achieved in these semifinals. And I really think that they need to trade Ben Simmons. And I want to keep talking about the Sixers because the post-game reaction from Doc Rivers, their own head coach, made some tough comments as he was asked if Ben Simmons could still be a point guard for a championship contender. And he says, I can't answer that right now. You cannot put a young point guard, it's his what, third, fourth year in the league. You can't put him under the bus. And yes, he might be the reason why the Sixers are the Philadelphia Sixers. But you can't put him under the bus because maybe he wanted to avoid being put on the bus, so he blames Ben Simmons. And that's the worst mistake that you can do as a head coach for a first seeded team in the East, for a high market team, for a team that AI played on, and you can't go on a press conference after losing Game 7 and put Ben Simmons under the bus. Because you might get fired Doc Rivers, and I love Doc Rivers. But as you know, in the playoffs, all of his teams that he coached have blown leads. How many championship did Doc Rivers win with the Celtics? And they had big time players. He won once. He went to the Clippers. He blew a 25-point lead while they're leading 3-1 against the Houston Rockets. So you had a 25-point lead in game 5, you're at home, you lose that game, you lose game 6, you lose game 7, and he is known for blowing leads. So the only person that should be put on the bus, and no one should be put under the bus like that. But since Doc Rivers decided to put Ben Simmons under the bus, and I told you guys, I don't like Ben Simmons. But if I was the head coach of this damn team, I wouldn't put Ben Simmons under the bus. And that's the worst mistake that you can do after losing to the damn Atlanta Hawks, who were coached by McMillan, who got fired by the Pacers at the beginning of the year, and who had a history of bad locker room and had a bad history this season when it was in the locker room. You saw that the assistant had fights with the Indiana Pacers young center Nate Batadze. And that's why he got fired. Is there was a lot of rumors. Oladipo got traded. They got Levert got injured, and they had to fire Nate McMillan. And the Pacers stepped up. But it was not because Nate McMillan didn't stop Sabonis grabbing 20 boards and having triple doubles. It didn't stop for Levert doing his work. Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner. No. He got fired because of a lot of reasons. And that the GM didn't trust Nate McMillan. So he got fired by Indiana Pacers team. He got hired in the middle of the season by a team who was also struggling on both ends of the floor. And there was a lot of rumors between Trae Young and Jason Collins and other Hawks players that Trae Young was not the great leader. And these are all rumors. No one thinks that of Trae Young. Because Young changed his game. He used to shoot long threes only. But now he's getting to the free throw line. He's drawing fouls. He's getting inside. He has that floater going. And he still shoots threes and he was the third best assist per game player in the National Basketball Association. But this is not about Nick McMillan. But I'm just saying that you can't put Ben Simmons under the bus when you just lost. And it was not because, yes, he might be the number one main reason, but he was not the only main reason. Doc Rivers should, in the offseason, when he got damn hired, he should have took Ben Simmons and the shooting coach for the Sixers, who should they fire in this offseason. They should took Ben Simmons and let him shoot elbow jump shots. Let him shoot at least 1-3 a game. That pick and roll, that end of the shot clock. And Ben Simmons is afraid to shoot, but that's why you have a damn head coach. That's why you have a damn shooting coach. That's why you have those guys, because there wouldn't be those guys. You got to use these piece of staff and show Ben Simmons to shoot that elbow jump shot, get to the free throw. If you're wide open, you go for the layup, you go for the poster dunk. You don't pass to a guy that's a no-name, Matthijs Thybulle, who's only good on the defensive end, and shooting, he's trash. So if you want to put someone under the damn bus after losing to the Atlanta Hawks at home in Game 7 of the semifinals, you cannot put a young point guard under the bus, because you should have answered, yes, he's my all-star point guard. We're going to get better. He's going to get better. He's going to put some shots in the offseason and train hard. But you cannot answer the question by saying, I can't answer that right now. Because you will eventually get fired for that stupid comment. And you cannot say that, because if you actually want to start blaming people, Joel Embiid, most of the time, yes, he shot 11 for 21 in games. But in the other games, there was times where he was wide open from three and he decided to do a step back and do a mid-range contested shot. When they switched and they had Kevin Huerter, instead of Joel Embiid posting up a guy that's short, he's 6'7", Embiid is close to 7 feet. He shot a contested three instead of going inside, make some post moves and get inside, draw the foul. So it's not just Ben Simmons. Yes, he might be the main reason. He attempted 2 shots in the fourth quarter in the first 7 game against the Hawks. But you got to look at the other guys. In Game 5, Tobias Harris, a $30 million man, scores 5 friggin' points. Why don't you talk about your $1 million man, your small forward that you traded for? Why don't you put him under the bus and say we wanted more from Tobias Harris? Because if he made those shots that he missed, if he made those contested layups, those free throws, we wouldn't be here. Same thing, Ben Simmons shot 4 for 14 in Game 5 from the free throw line. And it was your damn, if you want to put someone on the bus, you should put your damn ugly ass Doc Rivers under the bus. You should have took Ben Simmons and have him shoot free throws. Have him shoot 100 free throws every hour. Have him shoot the elbow. The elbow jump shot, it's not that hard. You should have done that instead of Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. No, there's no Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. Look at what Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton was known for for disappearing in big games. Giannis Antetokounmpo, when the Raptors played the wall, when the Miami Heat played that wall, he didn't do anything. But what happened in the off season? He trained to get better, to change his game. And yes, he's shooting more threes. I don't care if he shot 2 for 6 in game 7. But he made those points matter. Who made the game-winning bucket in overtime? Chris Middleton. And Chris Middleton did not have a great shooting night, but he got double-digit rebound twice in the first 7 games, and he made that game-winning jump shot. Imagine Chris Middleton did not make that. Imagine he wasn't great on the defensive end. We wouldn't be here. And no one's talking about PJ Tucker, who played great defensively, even though KD averaged close to 40 points a game. But PJ Tucker, some subs that he did was one of the reasons the Milwaukee Bucks stayed with the Brooklyn Nets. Like, you gotta work, man. And Ben Simmons, like, it's not about Ben Simmons, man. It's about Doc Rivers' post-game comments. You cannot say that right after right after losing. You cannot go in a press conference. Yeah, go in a press conference, but you can't put Ben Simmons under the bus on media. You cannot do that, Doc Rivers, because you will eventually get fired. Because the Sixers are going to have a long off season. But this segment is not about Sixers. It's about Doc Rivers post-game comments. And this, I'm trying to teach you guys that if you lose a deciding game, game 7, and you know it's not just one player, it's everyone, you should say, that's my all-star. But we have to work hard as a team. We did not play well in game 5, and that was the turning point of the game. Yes, we might have won game 6, but game 5 was a turning point of the game. That's what the Doc Rivers should be saying, but not, even though I think Ben Simmons should not be the starting point guard for this contending team, which is the Sixers. But if I'm the head coach, I'm not going to the media and put him, the young guy, under the bus. And that's not fair for Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons did not put Doc Rivers under the bus. And this is unbelievable, man. It's like there's already drama by just losing the damn game. Why you want to create more drama? Because you will eventually probably get your ass fired. And you are known for blowing damn leads. But guys, let's move on. So in this segment, we're gonna preview the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. So the Eastern Conference Final has not started yet, but the NBA Western Conference has. And before we recap Game 1 between the Clips and the Suns, ever since before the season started, as soon as the Suns got CP3, CP3 is known to be a leader, but he's never been to the conference final. But he takes every team he's played for, he takes them to the next level. And I really think that this squad, and yes, he didn't play game 1 as he's in pandemic protocols, and we hope he can return for game 3 or game 4. But Chris Paul is a real leader. He's a real leader. But I think that this year is the time. They're in the Western Conference Final. They're playing teams that are without Kawhi Leonard. and he's not playing game 2 either. We might not know if he's playing game 3, game 4, game 5. We don't know. But as of right now, the Suns won game 1 without Booker. And we'll talk about game 1 in just a second. But in this series, I got the Suns winning in 7 games. Why? Because Kawhi Leonard is not 100%. And because I don't trust Paul George. And yes, he might have been having his best playoff season ever since he was with the Pacers before Game 7 against the Miami Heat twice. But this is time for Paul George to make his statement because he's known for pandemic P. He's known to be a failure in the playoffs. But there's no Kawhi Leonard, so Paul George he already made a statement. Against the Mavericks, he played awesome. Against the Utah Jazz, the number 1 team in the NBA, he made a damn statement. But if the Clippers are going to win this one, they need to solve Paul George. You cannot, well, I'll talk about game 1 in just a moment. But you have to solve D-Books. You have to solve CP3. But it's not just that. They still have a 3-and-D in Shea Crowder, who's been back-to-back finals. They have a two-way center in DeAndre Ayton. So it won't, like, Clippers have been through a lot. Round 1, they played Luka Doncic, and that went to 7. In round 2, they played the best team in the Western Conference, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And now they're playing the Suns with Devin Booker. And that things are getting harder. Because if they beat the Suns, they will likely face the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. And maybe the Atlanta Hawks. Because I'm not going to discriminate the Atlanta Hawks. They're for real. But we will see. But for now, I got the Suns winning in 7. And for the Suns, Devin Booker needs to keep doing D-Books stuff. CP3 is going to come back. I hope he comes back soon. He's going to do what he does best, is getting everyone going, shooting that mid-range king that he has in his skills. He needs to keep doing that. And another thing, we're not forgetting a two-way center in DeAndre Ayton who has improved in these playoffs. So we need to see on what they're going to bring. As in game 1, now we'll talk about game 1. Paul George played well, but he didn't shoot the ball well. And he should have shot more because he scored 36. But doesn't matter if you scored 36 because the guy you were guarding was D-Books, and D-Books had a 40-point triple-double without CP3. And the Clippers need, and I know they were down 2-0 in Dallas. They were down 2-0 against Utah. And I don't want to say, oh, they're going to be down 2-0 and they're going to change again. No. You don't want to be in that position because you never know. What if CP3 comes back in game 3 and Kawhi comes back or doesn't come back and they shit the bed and they get swept? You don't want that. So game 2, Reggie Jackson and Paul George need to make a statement at the start of the game and go on a huge run. But I got the Suns beating the Clippers in 7, which makes them go to the NBA Finals. But we won't do NBA Finals predictions just yet. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it's a surprising Atlanta Hawks. Who will be playing? The Milwaukee Bucks, who just beat the Brooklyn Nets, who beat the Miami Heat in the first round, who they made Jimmy Butler have his worst shooting performance in his career. And then they had James Harden, who was garbage. And I applaud James Harden. Why? He was injured and he still played he played 52 minutes in Game 7. In Game 6, he played 39 minutes. Game 5, he played every single minute in Game 5, which was 48 minutes. And I applaud James Harden for actually going in games that the trainer says, you can't play. And he's like, no way. There's no way I'm not playing. I'm going to play. And that's why I applaud James Harden. But Kevin Durant was doing everything for Brooklyn against the Bucks. He was doing everything. And we saw the vintage KD. And I don't want to say vintage KD, but everyone's saying vintage. KD is not old. KD is not like D Rose. KD is still Kevin Durant, one of the best pure scorers in the NBA. But it was tough because Blake Griffin had good performance, but they didn't give him more shots. And there was times where Harden and KD shot long range contested three down the shot clock when Blake Griffin was wide open. But it's not just that, just all around things weren't going well. James Harden was injured. Jeff Green was injured half of the time. Kyrie Irving missed game 5, game 6, game 7, game 4. So it's just tough, and Kyrie Irving is always injured in important games ever since he left the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's gonna be also a good offseason for the Nets because I wish they used DeAndre Jordan because Giannis led the boards in almost every game, and the Nets needed a big guy. But let's move on. So the Bucks will play the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, I got the Bucks winning in 6, but that could change anytime because who's gonna be guarding? Obviously, Drew will guard Trae Young, but who will be guarding Kevin Huerter? Who will be guarding Jason Collins? And I think Clint Capella will outmatch Brook Lopez, even though Brook is a shitty rebounder ever since he left the Brooklyn Nets long time ago. Even though Lopez shoots threes, Capella will outmatch. Because Brook Lopez will be not looking to get offensive boards. He will be looking to run and shoot that fast break three. So it's going to be a lot of, but the bench will be a key for both squads. But for the Hawks, they need Trae Young to keep doing Trae Young things. But not only that, gentlemen. Jason Collins needs to score more. He can't go in Game 7 and score 14 points. But he did grab 15 rebounds, which is why the Hawks had those huge runs. Is one of the reasons was Jason Collins getting those defensive rebounds as he had 13 of them. But I got the Bucks winning in 6, and that makes the Bucks facing the Suns in the NBA Finals. But guys, thanks for tuning in. We will do a recap tomorrow after game 2 between the Clips and the Suns. And in other news, in the NHL, last night the Vegas got the overtime winner for the Vegas, and that's tied with the Montreal Canadiens at 2 games apiece. Game 5 will be back in Vegas. And they finally solved Carey Price, who's been playing amazing playoff hockey. And Caulfield as well. Everyone's doing well. But for Game 5, I think the Habs need to have a better start and they need to keep their lead. But for Vegas, the crowd's going to go crazy. And I think that Vegas will have a better chance at winning because of the crowd and because they have great players. But it's not about that. It's about Carey Price. If they solve Price, they will win this series. And they'll reach the finals again. And probably play the Tampa Bay Lightning. But this is about Carey Price for the Habs, who's playing great playoff hockey. But I don't think Carey Price is the Broder. Is Martin Broder. He cannot carry his team. You need more from Tyler Toffoli. And he's been playing well, but you need more from them, and the Habs need to stop taking dumb penalties. So game 5 is tomorrow. Also tonight, I was really disappointed, gentlemen. The Islanders had the Lightning numbers in the regular season, had them in the first 5 games, but in game 5, they gave up 8 goals and they lost 8-0. That is disappointing for this Islanders franchise because you have worked hard this season to play better. And they have to have a better start in game 6 because they lost 8-0 tonight. But for the Lightning, Brain Point is on fire. It's his 8-game point streak. Steven Stamkos went off. And that's what you want to see from Stamkos because we haven't seen him do shit ever since he got injured early in the year. So game 6 is in couple of days. But guys, thanks for tuning in to this segment. We want to thank everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have 70 subscribers. Keep subscribing and help us get to 1K. And also you can check my boys' podcast at Potty Mouth Sports. But guys, thanks for tuning in. It's your host, DJ Joe, signing out of here. And trade Ben Simmons.